Welcome, one and all. This is the Ancient Journey. On today's journey, Catherine Shelton. But before we get started, don't forget, if you enjoy that content, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe. Now let's get started. A coincidence is defined as a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. Did you run into an old friend you'd just been thinking of? Probably just a coincidence. Does it rain after you wash your car? Also, probably a coincidence. But when it comes to one Texas attorney named Catherine Shelton, the coincidences keep piling up. 5 of them, in fact. But her coincidences don't amount to old friends or ruined car washes. Hers are about murders. Now, Catherine admits to not being an angel. In fact, she'll openly admit to a few indiscretions here and there. She might even brag about them if you catch her in the right mood. Those who know her describe her as a pretty, tough-as-nails lawyer who decorated her home with pictures from old gangster movies. Catherine was known to be a spitfire, often lashing out at other lawyers and even judges when things weren't going her way, sometimes verbally, but sometimes physically as well. If you were her enemy, she would have no problem spreading rumors about you or even turning into a witness against you. But she says she's never killed anyone. But Catherine is the suspect in at least 2 unsolved murders in the Houston area. She's been tried and convicted of assault in another attempted murder case. She's been the subject of investigations into business crimes. Shelton curses like a sailor and runs her business as ruthlessly as any lawyer could. If you listen to her, she'll have you convinced that this is all indeed just a big coincidence, and that people that she's screwed over are just plotting against her. But can 5 murders be a coincidence, or all of the brushes with the law? Let's look at the first death, a man named George Tedesco. Shelton and Tedesco had dated a while in the late 70s, but when the two split, Shelton sued Tedesco, claiming that the two were in fact married by common law, and that she had a right to half of his assets. In 1979, on the same day that Tedesco was to appear in court for the dispute, he was found beaten to death in his garage. Shelton broke into Tedesco's place later, taking back things she said belonged to her from the crime scene. Tedesco's family filed a wrongful death suit against Catherine and a man named Tommy Bell, a former client of Shelton's. That case never goes to trial, and Bell is found shot to death in his home in 1980. Next up is Gary Taylor. Taylor, a courthouse reporter in Houston, begins a relationship with Catherine shortly after Tedesco's death. Taylor attempted to break up with Shelton, and she became furious, even putting a pistol on her nightstand just to show him who was in charge. Taylor went to the DA's office, who convinced him to secretly record Shelton. They were trying to get her on tape admitting to some involvement in Tedesco's murder. In 1980, Taylor's home is burglarized, and Shelton tells him that she can help him get back his belongings if he comes over to her house. Taylor obliges, and Shelton indicates that she has something for him, and it's in her bedroom closet. Taylor says when he steps into the closet, the lights go out, and he hears a gun cock. Taylor is shot in the back, and shot again above the ear as he charges at Shelton. Shelton is charged with the shooting and found guilty, and sentenced to 10 years, a conviction that gets overturned. She pleads guilty to aggravated assault and receives probation and loses her law license, which she also later gets back. In 1981, Catherine marries a man named Clint, and the two move to Dallas. By 1988, Catherine has her law license back and has opened a practice of her own again. In 1999, a client of Catherine's named Chris Hansen is found hanging naked in the Shelton home. Chris, a Canadian, was doing work in a home that Shelton was about to move into. Marisa Hierro had worked for Shelton at her law practice. Hierro left Shelton's law office and tried to set up her own immigration consulting business. Shelton and Hierro accuse each other of stealing clients, and soon after, according to Hierro, threats begin. Shelton denies the threats, but another coincidence is about to happen. It's December of 1999, and Marisa and her husband Michael pull into their driveway and are met by shotgun blasts. Michael Hierro is shot dead, and Marisa is shot in the arm and severely injured. Marisa tells police that the shooting is carried out by two masked figures, a large man holding a gun, and a petite blonde woman giving the orders. Finish it. Finish it. Give me the gun. I'll shoot her. I shot her, the man replied. I did it. Catherine has an alibi for the night and maintains her innocence, but coincidences keep occurring as police find latex gloves and a mask on a construction site near the murder scene. The DNA on the mask belongs to none other than Clint Shelton, Catherine Shelton's husband. Clint Shelton is arrested and charged with murder, but denies ever being there or shooting anyone. Clint is sentenced to life in prison. Catherine Shelton is never charged in connection to the crime. In 2001, Marisa Hierro sues Catherine and Clint Shelton for the wrongful death of Michael Hierro. Catherine countersues, and Marisa never shows up for trial. Catherine wins by default and ends up being awarded millions of dollars in damages from Hierro for libel. A 70-year-old veteran named Sam Shelton is living in Catherine's home in 2017. Sam Shelton is not related to Catherine Shelton. When Hurricane Harvey wreaks havoc in Houston, Catherine says that Sam dies of natural causes in her home. After he dies, Catherine signs his name on a lease application. She is charged with fraudulent use of information. Catherine maintains that she never killed anyone, never paid or promised anything to anyone for killing someone. One courthouse regular stated that some of Catherine's associates are so odd that it is possible that she's being set up, or it could just all be a coincidence. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing the journey.